A young boy living in a village with his grandparents defies a taboo that prohibits the villagers from whistling at dusk time as it unleashes a terrible curse. Now, with the curse on the loose and targeting him, he must find a way to defeat the curse and return the village back to normal. If it wasn't for the synopsis of this movie online, I would have had absolutely no idea what this film was about. After about 40 minutes of watching this, I felt so clueless, and it was only after I read the synopsis that I realized that a throwaway line mentioned in the movie at about the 15-minute mark was actually the most key part of the film that I needed to pay the most attention to. Now, back in 2016, the director of this film created a 14-minute short movie, which was then turned into this film. It seems that watching that short movie beforehand is kind of essential because I feel like it details the plot far more clearly. But honestly, who would have thought to have done that? By being so confused with the plot, and I honestly thought it had something to do with birds and racing the birds, and catching the birds rather than the actual act of whistling itself, the movie felt much longer than its 75-minute running time. And that's an issue because the film feels refreshingly different. Well, it definitely would have been different if it was about the birds, but in the end, it's just another village curse movie, and those are a dime a dozen in Indonesian horror cinema. Something I really like about watching Indonesian films is that I get to learn new words, and in this case, the title Singsot means to whistle, and there certainly is a lot of whistling done in this movie too. And I'm guessing had I known the title before I'd watched the film, then I would have realized that whistling would have played a very important part in the movie. Something I am a little bit confused about is how do you just stop people from whistling? I'm a person who likes to whistle regardless of the time of the day. So if that was me in this village, boom, I'd have been cursed on day one. So while I might not have engaged with the storyline as much as I should have, and on reflection of knowing the plot, I don't actually think it's really that great, I did like the visual elements of the film. Specifically, there is some terrific lighting in this film, as well as all of those dream/nightmare sequences. And the one I loved the most was when Ipung was at school and he runs into the toilet block only to then to be transported into this nightmare world. It felt very Silent Hillish. But like anything with child actors, the quality is benchmarked against the weakest performance. And while the young boy who plays Ipung does a good enough job, it's the boys who play his friends that will make you want to fast forward through to the rest of this film. I also didn't quite understand the roles of the two characters in Wiwik and Agus Pete. He gets possessed at the start of the film because he whistles while trying to catch a bird. But the scene that he's whistling in is set during the daytime, which goes against what the taboo of the village says. Then everyone in the village just seems to avoid these two, but they don't really mention why. I mean, talk about confusing, right? Anyway, using my patent pending ghost rating, which stands for great horror, stupid trash, I can only give this 2 ghosts. And I give it 2 ghosts because it's slightly refreshing on the whole village curse theme. At least we get a bit of whistling and we don't get the overtly and strongly religious themes that we're so used to seeing in Indonesian horror movies. But I would have liked a little bit more clarity that it was the point where the boy whistles in the movie, which is such a throwaway line. It's such a small, inconsequential bit of the film. I would have liked to have known that that was the catalyst for the curse to be released. Also want to mention that there are some really, really good creepy scenes in the film, especially where the grandmother grabs his feet and says that that's not me. I really like that scene. So the film does a few things really right, but story is not the one of them. Anyway, I'm the Ardhana. You are watching SHOCKMANIA. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have you seen Singsot and what did you think of it? Like, subscribe, leave a comment, join the Discord for more discussions and all that other jazz, and I'll catch you next time.